Hello, it's Jim Hutchens for the Jerusalem Connection Spot Report for this week. Today I want to cover some ground that you may be familiar with, you may not be, but I think it's important as a reminder, especially since there's this passionate pursuit on part of Secretary of State John Kerry to bring about a peace, a negotiated peace between the Israelis and the Palestinians. And I think it's important to recognize the fabricated myth upon which these peace negotiations are taking place. The fabricated myth. I want to refer to an article, read some excerpts from an article by Eli Hertz. He is an Israeli journalist, and he has an article, very penetrating, very astute article, entitled Confusing the World with the Facts on Palestine. He asserts initially, Palestine is a geographical area, not a nationality. The Arabs, he charges, the Arabs invented a special national entity in the 1960s called the Palestinians. They created this in the 1960s, specifically for political gain. They brand Israelis as invaders and claim the geographical area called Palestine belongs exclusively to the Arabs. Now, the word Palestine is not even Arabic to start with. It is a word coined by the Romans around 135 AD from the name of a seagoing Aegean people who settled on the coast of Canaan in antiquity called the Philistines. The Philistines. Does that ring a biblical bell? I imagine it does. The name was chosen to replace Judea as a sign that Jewish sovereignty had been eradicated following the Jewish revolts against Rome at that time. In the course of time, the Latin name Philistia was further bastardized into a Palestina or Palestine. Philistia became Romanized into Palestine. During the next 2,000 years, what had been renamed Palestine was never an independent state belonging to any people, nor did a Palestinian people distinct from other Arabs appear during the 1,300 years of Muslim hegemony, control in Palestine under Arab and Ottoman rule. Palestine was and is solely a geographical name. Therefore, it is not surprising that in modern times the name Palestine or Palestinian was applied as an adjective to all inhabitants of the area between the Mediterranean Sea and the Jordan River, Palestine Jews and Palestine Arabs alike. In fact, until the 1960s, most Arabs in Palestine preferred to identify themselves merely as a part of the great Arab nation or citizens of southern Syria. The term Palestinian as a noun was usurped and co-opted by the Arabs in the 1960s. Usurped and co-opted by the Arabs in 1960 as a tactic initiated by Yasser Arafat. Yasser Arafat, the father of all mass suicide murders. Co-opted, initiated by Yasser Arafat to brand Jews as intruders, as someone on someone else's turf. He mendaciously presented Arab residents of Israel and the territories as indigenous inhabitants since time immemorial. And this fabrication of peoplehood allowed Palestinian Arabs to gain parity with the Jewish people as a nation deserving of an independent state. Historically, however, before the Arabs fabricated the Palestinian people as an exclusively Arab phenomenon, no such group ever existed. Contradictions abound. The rhetoric by Arab leaders on behalf of the Palestinian Arab rings hollow. For the Arabs in the neighboring lands who control 99.9% of the Middle East land have never recognized Palestinian entity. They have always considered Palestine and its Arab inhabitants part of the great Arab nation, historically and politically as an integral part of greater Syria. The Arabs never established a Palestinian Arab state. When the UN offered a partition plan in 1947 to establish an Arab and Jewish state, they did not term it a Palestinian state, it should be noted, nor did the Arabs recognize or establish a Palestinian Arab state during the 2 decades prior to the Six-Day War, when the area of Judea and Samaria, the West Bank, was under Jordanian control and Gaza was under Egyptian control. Nor did the Palestinian Arabs clamor for autonomy or independence during those years under Jordanian and Egyptian rule. Well before the 1967 decision to create a new Arab people called Palestinians, when the word Palestinian was associated with Jewish endeavors, listen to this. Anubay Abdul Hadi, a local Arab leader, testified in 1937 before a British investigative body, the Peel Commission, the famous Peel Commission, saying, quote, "There is no such country as Palestine. Palestine is a term the Zionists invented. There is no Palestine. In the Bible, our country was for centuries part of Syria." Convince me, if you will, that our very astute historians and our profound intellectuals in the United States State Department are not aware of these facts, these historical facts. They most certainly are. And yet they have deliberately, willingly, knowingly pursued a peace plan, totally ignoring these historical facts. May I suggest to you that this peace process is built on sand. It is a foundation of sand. It will not stand. Let me further suggest to you the basis upon which a peace is possible. Genesis chapter 15, verse 18. On that day, Yahweh made a covenant with Abram and said, "To your descendants I give this land from the river of Egypt to the great river Euphrates." Chapter 17, verse 7. I will establish my covenant as an everlasting covenant. Does everlasting include now, today? I think so. I will establish my covenant as an everlasting covenant between me and you and your descendants after you, for the generations to come, to be your God and the God of your descendants. The whole land of Canaan I will give to you as an everlasting possession, you and your descendants after you, and I will be your God. Thus saith the Lord. Till next week, Od Ki Yavo Shiloh, or until Messiah comes, Yivarecha Yahweh. Yahweh bless you and yours.